or you might just see it.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to just dive in, or do you guys?
I'll do an intro.
Do an intro. Excellent.
Good. I'm going to black out right now so I don't interfere.
Hello and welcome. Thank you all for joining us for the launch of Harold Whit Williams' new book, Melbay's Book of the Dead, from the San Antonio Review Press. Harold Whit Williams is a prize-winning poet and longtime guitarist for the indie rock band Cotton Mather. He is the recipient of the 2020 FutureCycle Poetry Book Prize, the Mississippi Review Poetry Prize, and the Robert Phillips Poetry Chapbook Prize. He's the author of 5 books of poetry, and Williams lives in Austin, where he records lo-fi music as daily worker and catalogs the KUT Collection for the University of Texas Libraries. This is his first book of short stories. Harold?
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Becky.
Let me hear the back door slam. Let me feel summer rain. Try to spin this in reverse, crying out love in vain. The walls have spoken, my heart is broken, and I'm a ghost about this place. Trees aflame with autumn tresses, as my fingertips trace memories map up in the attic. So many miles upon my face. The walls have spoken, my heart is broken, and I'm a ghost about this place. And I'm a ghost about this place. Yeah, I'm a ghost about this place.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm Harold Whit Williams, the Daily Worker. Thank you, everybody, for Zooming with me tonight. We're still Zooming for some reason. There you go. But thank you so much for joining me. And my wife, Ashley, who's running the show off screen. And thank you so much. We're celebrating the publishing of Melbay's Book of the Dead. It's my first collection of short stories, my 6th book overall, the first written in prose. And it's actually the first single author publishing for the San Antonio Review Press. So I'm really excited and proud about that. Proud to be part of the San Antonio Review family. Thank you to William Pate and Ash Lang for digging these weird little stories and taking a chance on publishing them. The San Antonio Review is it's an excellent literary journal, started in San Antonio, based in Austin. Check them out sometime online. That you can purchase back issues, poetry, prose, political essays, fine art. It's a really incredible journal. And of course, thank you to Joe and Becky and everybody at Malvern. I think this is my 5th event with you guys, my second Zooming. So I really appreciate it. Malvern is I think it's the coolest bookstore in the world. That's what I say. So thank you so much, guys. And they do have a limited supply of signed author copies of Mel Bay, and also a couple of last year's poetry book, My Heavens. So if you live in Austin, you can buy it and pick it up curbside. Outside of Austin, I think if you go to bookshop.com, you can select Malvern and shop that way. So, and in a moment, I'll get into reading from Mel Bay. But first, let's see here. First, the song I started off with, Ghost About This Place, that is from a home recording series I did last year, exclusive to Bandcamp. I called it Shelter and Tapes. I found that after working, lucky enough to work from home, grateful for that. But after being on the computer all day, the last thing I wanted to do was keep sitting on the computer to write or record or make a video or something. So I dug out the old 4-track tape machine, went lo-fi, and found that I just started writing tons of songs. So I started posting them direct to Bandcamp. And there are 4 volumes of Shelter and Tapes. All the proceeds go to select charities, timely charities, Feeding America, Color of Change. So that song, Ghost About This Place, is from last year's Shelter and Tapes. And then in May, for Bandcamp Friday, which I think is May 7th, I will put out volume 5 of Shelter and Tapes. And at the end of the show tonight, I'll play a brand new song that'll be on the volume 5. All right, enough of that. I'm going to dive in and read a short story. So hang on. Let's see. Title of this is Fighting Joe Wheeler. Some water. That's what the pros do. They hydrate. Fighting Joe Wheeler. Every morning since 7th grade started, Mama drops me off at the curb up the street from school. Our car is a Pontiac with much rust and is the color of dog shit. My only friend TJ has seen it and even ridden in it and doesn't care. But I don't want anyone else to know that this is our car. When Daddy picks me up on weekends, he points at it and says, "Joe, you know what Pontiac means?" "No," I always say, grinning. He says it's a Cherokee word meaning fill me up again. Then Daddy always laughs and coughs. His belly is rounded and catfish pale and shows a hairy bit when his t-shirt rides up. He lights a Camel and says, "Pam, why are you still driving this thing?" He says, "Pam, this car is the color of a 2-toned BM. He says, "Pam, I swear I saw this thing floating in the break room commode back at Walmart. Damn thing just wouldn't flush." More laughing and coughing as Mama frowns and shakes her head and goes back inside and slams the door without saying goodbye. She frowns and slams the door a lot of late. And just the other day, I caught her crying at a stoplight. I asked her what was wrong, but she said not to worry, just grown-up stuff. But Mama does drop me off at the curb away from school. This is maybe the only thing nice she does for me, other than food and shelter and laundry and helping me with geometry. Daddy sleeps late on Saturdays. It's his day off from stocking the warehouse, and he's taken pills for his back, and he's had a lot of Friday night beers, as he calls them. So he stays in bed until noon or later. We sometimes toss the football or just sit around and watch cartoons or a game or something, but mostly he's out on the back porch smoking and drinking beer. He keeps saying that he'll take the both of us up to that state park with the lake so we can watch the geese, but we haven't gone yet. The park is named for a Civil War general fighting Joe Wheeler. I read that he was at Shiloh at the Bloody Pond and that he killed a bunch of Indians out west. My name is also Joe Wheeler, son of Billy and Pam Wheeler, but Mama says we're not related to the general and that they named me Joseph from the Bible instead. So Daddy's asleep and I'm eating a bowl of Count Chocula and listening to the radio. It's only 8:30, but TJ is already out in our front yard doing circles on his Huffy. He keeps popping wheelies and yelling out, "Yay!" like that Cajun chef on TV. I step outside and tell him to be quiet because Daddy is sleeping. TJ stops his bike and stares back at me. He has snot running out both nostrils because it's the first cold morning in October. A shower of red leaves fall behind him and his eyes look dark and mean. "Your daddy's just a drunk," he shouts. He spins his bike around and pedals off down the driveway and into the street. Mama told me once that TJ has a wild streak in him because he's Greek or Slavic or Gypsy. She says that after the long boat ride over here, his family name was changed from Mikos or Milosevic or something like that to Michaels to sound more American. TJ stands for Thomas Jefferson, he always says. But their Sunday afternoon get-togethers are loud and lively and filled with much food and wine and laughter and song, and don't seem very American to me, regardless of their new name. Our family get-togethers only happen around Easter or Christmas, and they are usually quiet and seem kind of sad. On occasion, grandmother might holler out for Jesus when Daddy says grace. He'll sneak a peek over at me when she does that, and we both have to try hard to not start giggling. But TJ's family get-togethers remind me of something I read about in a National Geographic, some story about the customs and traditions observed upon a dry and windy Turkish island. All the men drinking and dancing, the women slaughtering goats and swatting flies. Another thing, TJ tans darkly while I simply turn pink and blister and fade. Do all of these things explain his wild streak, as Mama says? I think not, but maybe. TJ is a strange one. He cuts classes and bikes all over town singing "Put the Lime in the Coconut" and "Ride, Captain, Ride" upon your mystery ship. He climbs those spindly mimosa trees out beside the highway and hoots at passing traffic like a howler monkey. He told me once that his granddaddy, a sheep herder back in the old country, would take young girls up into a secret cave in the mountains and molest them. He said all of this matter-of-factly, in the same way I would tell someone my granddaddy sang in a gospel quartet or served on city council. At first period history class on Monday, Miss Howell announces a field trip for the week before Halloween. Turns out we're going up to Joe Wheeler State Park. She points at it on our big map of Alabama and asks us to please bring our signed permission slips back by the end of the week. I can't believe my luck and can hardly wait to hop into that dog shit Pontiac and tell Mama where we're going. That sounds fun, Mama says, fussing with her bangs in the rearview mirror. We've barely pulled away from the curb when she starts talking about her day at work. She's a secretary at the dentist office, and she always whines about rude patients. Bitch and moan, she says, bitch and moan, which is funny because I realize that's exactly what she does around me. Suddenly, I'm not that excited about my school trip anymore. I notice that all the old houses and trailers blurring past us on the highway look empty and abandoned. I bet they're cold inside. I bet if folks still live in them, they are lonely and sad and drift from room to room like ghosts no one can see. Daddy asks, where's TJ at? I'm flipping through the latest issue of my Sergeant Rock comic book and half watching a PBS show on cheetahs. I've already read that they're the fastest land animals on Earth. Falcons are faster, but they fall through the sky and get help from their wings and all. The new comic book has a nice inky smell. I breathe it in deep and say that TJ is camping with his big brothers out in Sipsey Wilderness. I have no idea what TJ is doing, really, as he hasn't talked to me since I asked him to be quiet out in Daddy's yard. I lie because I'm embarrassed to think that my friend doesn't like me anymore. But now I have this signed permission slip for our class trip, and I get excited again about visiting the park and seeing all those geese. I'm so excited that I forget about TJ on his Huffy doing circles in our yard and how dark and mean his eyes looked. A few years back, TJ and I were playing Chickasaw Indians with a toy bow and arrows at the edge of a sage-grass pasture behind his house. We stopped to gorge ourselves upon ripe blackberries growing in a wild bramble along the fence. The purple-red juice soon stained our fingers and lips, and we laughed about how one might mistake it for blood. A strange look came over TJ's face, and he reached down into his blue jean pocket and pulled out a small switchblade. We should become blood brothers, he whispered. His face contained a graven look, as if he was sitting up front row in church on a Sunday morning. Thunder rumbled in the distance. A crow cawed from other side of the pasture. I held out my left hand, palm up, and took a deep breath. Our class is filing onto the idling school bus for the trip to Wheeler. It's early Monday morning, still dark and cold. I walk down the aisle past TJ, who is sitting with a boy whose name I cannot recall. TJ and the boy are laughing and pointing out the window at something in the parking lot. And I'm suddenly afraid that Mama forgot to give me something for the trip and that she had to pull up in her dog shit Pontiac beside the bus so as to come aboard and give it to me. I glance outside and spy Miss Howell at her Ford Pinto. She's bent over and digging something out of her trunk. Her big fat ass is stuck up in the air and wiggling about, so I'm relieved to see that it's not my mama and our car. There's an empty seat on the back row for me and my binoculars and my peanut butter sandwich sack lunch. I sit down beside Dawn, a red-haired girl I sort of know from history class. Hey, she says, smiling a toothy grin filled with braces. She says, I was just saving this seat for you. She says, we don't have school today, Joe. Isn't that great? She lightly touches my left arm and giggles and says, we're going to your park. I smile and giggle and cannot help but think of Daddy in his bed still asleep. I always pictured him taking me to Wheeler, and now I'm going without him. It feels strange, but also kind of thrilling. Maybe one day I'll be a bus driver and travel to all the different state parks. Dawn stays beside me the whole morning at the park. She even holds my hand on the little boardwalk trail over the marsh and out onto the lake's edge. There's still a chill in the air, but Dawn's hand is hot and scaly. There are strips of fog hanging onto the tops of the trees, but as we approach the lookout pier, it clears up and we can see hundreds of geese floating and flapping out upon the water's surface. I share my binoculars with Dawn. She says, "Oh, wow," when a whole bunch of geese lift off at once and skim the lake coming towards us. They pull up at the last second and veer off above our heads and above the tops of the trees behind us. "Oh, wow," she says again. We tour the Wheeler home, which is filled with furniture and paintings and boring stuff that none of my classmates care about. Later, out on the plantation grounds, Miss Howell sets up picnic blankets for our sack lunches. The day has cleared and become Indian summer warm. I look around and find TJ and that other boy standing off to the edge of the clearing. Neither of them have lunches. They're still laughing at something, maybe the same thing from earlier this morning. And they're hooting and hollering and ripping bark off a pine tree and throwing pine cones hard at each other. Miss Howell shouts at them to sit down and behave. Dawn and I share a blanket with a couple of her friends, but she wiggles over next to me with her lunch. I feel suddenly flushed and a bit nervous with her friends giggling and looking over at the two of us. My stomach has butterflies and I'm not that hungry anymore. So I give Dawn half of my peanut butter sandwich, which she takes and quickly eats, laughing all the while, along with her friends. As we pack up our lunch scraps, Miss Howell goes off with the tour guide into the park headquarters, leaving us all alone with the bus driver. He is leaning up against the back of the bus, smoking a cigarette and flipping through a magazine. I'm just about to tell Dawn about my daddy and how he always meant to bring me here, but never did, when I hear a strange yet familiar sound coming from across the grounds. It's TJ yelling out, "Yay!" He's honking like a goose now and sprinting towards me. He honks and screams, "This ain't your park. Your daddy is a drunk. Your daddy is a drunk." The force of his hit puts the both of us down onto the cool grass. The wind is knocked out of me and I gulp for air with loud, pitiful animal groans. I'm embarrassed for the sounds I'm making, and I can feel all the classroom eyes upon us, especially Dawn's. She has stepped away, I can sense somehow. I'm certain that she is red-faced and too ashamed to help. TJ is on top, pounding his fists into my face and chest. In a flash, he opens up his switchblade, the afternoon sun glinting off of it. Then I feel a sting in my left shoulder and I black out for a little bit. I come to. TJ is crying now, still sitting atop me and making strange animal sounds of his own. After what seems a whole afternoon has passed, TJ gets pulled up off me by the bus driver. I hear Miss Howell's voice next to me. I feel pressure on my shoulder and I can smell cigarette smoke on the driver's clothes, and it makes me think of Daddy. Why would I think of Daddy right now? He would never bring me here. TJ is right. He is a drunk. He never takes me anywhere. Mama would take me anywhere I want, I know, if she could, but she's too busy at her job. So why am I thinking of Daddy now? And why did my friend beat me up and stab me? Is this that grown-up stuff Mama was crying about? The bus driver lifts me and carries me off away from my classmates who have crowded around. I can hear Miss Howell chatting with him. Her voice sounds far away and high-pitched. I get another good whiff of cigarette smoke off the driver's shirt. Camels, I think. Miss Howell has bandaged up my shoulder and set me down in her car. She says that she's taking me to the nearest clinic for stitches and maybe a shot. Her car smells nice, like her perfume, and she drives really fast, faster than Mama. I look out the window and see a string of geese lifting up out of a picked over cotton field. I want to hold up my binoculars to look at them, but cannot because of the bandage. I wonder what Daddy would think of all this. Me with a girlfriend, me getting attacked by TJ, me inside my teacher's car, speeding towards some clinic for stitches and a shot. He is probably on his first break right about now, rubbing his back and cursing, lighting up and standing out behind the store. I wonder if he's even thinking of me and how much fun I should be having today. I wonder if he can imagine me with a switchblade knife stuck in my arm, put there by my best friend. I can just picture him out on that loading dock behind the store, his face puffy from too many Friday night beers, his mouth pursed as if to tell a dirty joke. He is scanning the sky for a high V of geese heading south. I can see him exhaling a big cloud of smoke and then turning to go back inside to stock the warehouse. Fighting Joe Wheeler from Mel Bay's Book of the Dead. Sounds like somebody has daddy issues, but that's not the case. I have to admit that when I was a kid, my dad did take me to Wheeler Wildlife Refuge. I saw the geese. I was a nerdy bird watching kid, and I still am. I still am a nerdy bird watching kid. He was not and is currently not a drunk. So it's, I know the old adage is, to write what you know. That's correct. Obviously, that's the best advice. I find sometimes it's a lot more fun to write what I don't know and just to make stuff up. So a lot of that is based on things that actually happen. That's how people write. And a lot of it you pick from the atmosphere around you, coworkers' stories, whatever, and other authors. I have to say, Larry Brown, Barry Hanna, the Mississippi, Oxford, the grit lit writers, a big influence, especially on that story. But I just wanted to clear that up about Dad, and I did get to go see the geese. But let's see. Okay. I'm going to switch gears here and read some poems. Louder. Okay. Ashley says louder. I'm going to scooch up.
Can I ask you a question first?
Yes.
So you said first of all, I want to say I really enjoyed that. That was a great story. And I'm sure if people were muted, they say the same thing.
Excellent.
But since you said some of this is based on real, I have to ask. So did you ever get beaten up and stabbed in the shoulder?
Stabbed, actually, not beaten up. That was, I don't recall any schoolyard fights, but yeah, in kindergarten, a random kid stuck his switchblade in I've got a scar here. Weird. Yeah, weird.
That's a tough kindergarten.
Yeah, it wasn't my best friend who TJ's based on, but it was just I don't know who, I can't remember who it was, honestly, but it was weird. I think he was showing it to people and I was asking, I wanted to see it, right? I wanted to hold it or whatever. And he didn't like the cut of my jib, I guess. And he shoved it in my shoulder. Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird thing. So that happened. So you got to write about stuff like that. I didn't
want to hurt the flow, but I had to ask.
No, the flow is that I'm going with the flow. Yeah, it's my childhood, other than that, was pretty, loving family, safe, boring, really bland. So you got to get little moments like that and make something of it. But yeah, no, thank you for asking. I appreciate it, Becky. So last year, I found out in December that my poetry book from last year, My Heavens, won the Publisher's Prize. It was picked for the FutureCycle Press poetry book for 2020. So that's really cool. I was thrilled about that. And it made me think that I should read some from it. I did the last July from Malvern, we did a book event for it. So I was trying to find poems I didn't read last time. And so I'm going to read a few from My Heavens. Blue Norther. Such muted music of overnight weather, the heart's metronome slowing. Let me start over, sorry. Blue Norther, such muted music of overnight weather, the heart's metronome slowing, Largo, Largo. Such lackluster litanies, such a cacophony of thought. A harvest moon gone jaundiced, trees talking in their sleep. I am at one with nothing, neither nothingness nor somethingness. I am scratching and clawing at the storm windows of myself. I am staring down the hall into mother's room, her journals, her jewelry, her hair on the pillow. A light that we see, we think we see, it soon enough fades and we forget. All the way home. Our future selves in a field of sky, a field of light, a field of electrons. Here we are, there we were. Whatever was dreamt, absorbed. Whatever was left of darkness, absorbed. Everything expanding at a rate of something to something. Nothing lasts forever and only nothing. The dance is set to begin. The dance of no remembrance, the dance of light and electrons. Of this, I am almost certain. Stranger in a strange land, tossed in sleep like a man lost at sea, awakened to another unmapped island of a day, odd squawks of babbling blackbirds, a subtropical sun toasting my tender skin, some strange whispering patois of wind in tall grass, in leaves, leaving me speechless, disoriented, unsure of what to do next. Just keep spinning in space, no doubt. Just keep plotting coordinates, jotting down field notes. Just keep bringing bright beads and baubles to that fearsome native tribe, their dialect indecipherable, their customs beautiful and frightening. What are the odds? Still wagering with this ghost inside me that our shadowy old world cannot last much longer. Another morning steaming deep inside the cracked cup, another dream left at the curb. This ghost inside clawing to get out, chicken scratching for forever. This ghost adored for his manifestations, his expressions, his primitive art scrawled upon the cave walls of my ego. And this tired husk finds itself at times beyond clouds, sipping soda beneath the blue edge of heaven, hedging bets from a turbulence prayer, a skeleton scene within the stewardess. All engines fail eventually. I'll read one more. Umbilical. A storm forming on the other side of the river, some storm like a simile, but the river literal. Winds white capping the water, and I am a child. I am a child as the sky turns biblical. I am a child born of rain and cosmic dust. Long before Old Testament God, there was wind and water, and the other side of the river. There was the child I am and the child I am becoming. There was the beginning and the end. There was no excuse for what came next. Poems from my heavens. So I'm going to read one more story from Mel Bay, and it's a short one. This one came about, it's one of those pieces that come about, the title comes first. That sometimes happens with a poem, a lot of times with a song, just a weird word you see or a phrase, something you overhear. This one, if you turn on your TV in the fall on a Saturday afternoon to ESPN, CBS, sports channel, there's college football usually, and invariably it's Alabama's playing, and they're a popular team. They're a really good team, and you hear the phrase "touchdown Alabama." You just hear it throughout the afternoon because they're really good and they score a lot. And it's like anything where sometimes if you hear something so much, it kind of starts losing its meaning. So I started thinking, what is touchdown Alabama? It's maybe a town, touchdown, Alabama. So that's what spurred me to write this bizarre little almost flash fiction kind of story. So anyway, all right, enough of that. I'm gonna read it. Touchdown Alabama. A late September Saturday afternoon, the sky godless and electric blue and filled with trumpet blast and statistics. What a tiny scab on this roadmap touchdown is, but would you look at that stadium, worthy of the vilest gladiator games. And now a crowd of townsfolk appears, a sweaty biological mass of many moving as one, willing itself towards relevancy. They scuttle past in a harsh, slanted light. Their mouths snap open and shut like sea turtles. They say, "Go State," snap. They say, "Beat Tech," snap. They say, "We're number one," and so on and so forth. Snap, snap, snap. The town, having been founded by some fur trapper of dubious French legend, way back in the buck-skinned year of 18 and blah, blah, blah. Did you see that monster truck yonder? Covered in state stickers and flags, horn blaring the state fight song, "Go State." Muffler blast of yon truck, "Beat Tech." Rat-a-tat of marching bands, snare and tom. Hot white flash of damp cheerleader panties, sacrificial teenage flesh, sweaty and bare. Old men devouring their young with gauzy, going eyes. And look, right there in the shady square beneath granite Jeb Stewart upon his horse, it is the town derelict, standing atop a park bench and shouting, "Idolaters, heretics." He makes a bullhorn of his filthy hands and shouts, "Hypocrites on parade, love thy enemy." His beard a tangled owl's nest, his face the texture and color of oak bark. Townsfolk shuffle past, oblivious, glances here and there, gravel and hard candy cast upon him by trailer trash children, then snickering. Oh, the poor shall always be among us, poor in health, poor of mind, poor in the Holy Spirit, the derelict continues. The derelict's name is Gaylord Gun God, PhD. Long ago, this man, a much lauded thinker and writer with an East Coast doctorate in ancient rhetoric or meta-religious studies or philosophical poetics or some such horse shit. Upon retirement, he gave up office hours and tramped abroad for several years, war-torn Latin America, drab Eastern Europe. only to find himself returning to touchdown and squatting in the back room of a meth lab ranch style 2 miles out on the highway. Dr. God, the hick tenants call him. He hath blessed us, they say, between pipe sucks. Fits of sick laughter and wet coughing, God be with us, har har. Sky a softer blue now, with high wispy cirrus in the north. The marching band townsfolk parade has moved on down Champion Street and now fills the stadium with such Old Testament noise. Sun dropping behind tall pines, far off hum of the highway, nighthawks zigzagging above. There is no one left in the square but Dr. God. He still stands atop the bench, stroking his tangled beard, huffing and puffing. The air suddenly reeks of paper mill, of popcorn, of sad-eyed surrender. He turns slowly around to face the stadium and shouts, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." He shouts, "Faith without works is dead." He shouts, "Beware of false prophets." A rumbling now from down the street, overtaking the game noise. His bench is quaking, but Gaylord stays put, still staring at the stadium. Like riding a surfboard he is, laughing and pointing now as the giant lights flicker and go out. He can just catch a multitude of screams on the wind, a weeping and gnashing of teeth. Again he shouts, and the rain descended and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. A pause. A nighthawk hears overhead, then a prehistoric boom, and the stadium collapses in on itself like in some motion picture nightmare. Champion Street crumbles into a gaping maw, a crevasse to hell. Dr. God screams his laughter now, screams to the silent heavens. He places his filthy hands together in prayer and then drops like a stone with the rest of touchdown into the black and unforgiving earth. Touchdown, Alabama from Mel Bay. I do enjoy a football game, though. I have to say, I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy watching the game. Thank you all so much for listening to me read. I'm gonna play one more song to send us back into our hallways and kitchens and wherever we're going tonight. I really appreciate Malvern, you guys hosting this. It's just wonderful. Thank you so much. Brand new song, just I think last week. I'm going to try it out. It's going to be on the next Shelter and Tapes, which will be Bandcamp Friday, May 7th, on dailyworkerbandcamp.com. Not sure the charity yet. I've got to pick one, but all proceeds I'm sending to charity. So I have a song called Stars, so I thought I'd write one called Scars because I needed to rhyme. I'm a poet, so.
When I look beyond the years, way out past the stars, what I find can't stop the tears or cover up my scars. Good Lord, or cover up my scars. Doves, they murmur in the oak, asking who's to blame. world it answers as we talk. Says I won't give his name away. I won't give his name. Voices in my head ring out, singing sad old songs. Love you in the morning sun. I'll love you till I'm gone, good Lord. I'll love you till I'm gone. When I look beyond the years, way up past the stars, what I find can't stop my tears or cover up my scars, good Lord, or cover up my scars. Voices in my head ring out, singing sad old songs. Love you in the morning sun. I'll love you till I'm gone, good Lord. I'll love you till I'm gone.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks everybody for Zooming. Thanks to Malvern.
I'm asking everybody to unmute if you get a chance. I'd love us to get a little round of applause for Harold here. If everybody can unmute. I don't know if everybody can. I'd love to
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, sis. Good to
You're
see
welcome.
you. Yeah.
Thank you
I
very much,
appreciate-
Harold. That was wonderful. It was really great. The music, the poetry, the short stories. Really.
Thank you so much, Becky. I appreciate it.